It is Sunday, the 15th of April, and we're halfway through Child Abuse Awareness Month, and I'm doing my bit by protesting against sexual abuse of children committed by Unitarian Universalist ministers, Unitarian Universalist Sunday school teachers, also known as religious educators, and ordinary Unitarian Universalist lay people who may have or may not have prominent positions in the Unitarian Universalist Church. People like Richard Buell of First Parish Norwell, who was charged, tried, and convicted of the forcible rape of a female family member and a neighbor's daughter. And yes, Unitarian Universalists have been trying to keep sexual abuse of children by Unitarian Universalist ministers and Unitarian Universalist Sunday school teachers and ordinary Unitarian Universalist lay people like Richard Buell of First Parish Norwell, hidden from the public as much as they possibly can. And they do it in a variety of different ways. But one of the ways is behind my picket sign. The picket signs we just looked at, the yellow and red placards, are going to be held in my hands. But the freestanding picket sign here says Unitarian Universalist Misuse Blasphemy Law 2, and its partner over here says cover up and deny pedophilia and rape, and that's exactly one of the ways in which the Unitarian Universalist Association has tried to conceal Unitarian Universalist sexual abuse of children from the public. Because on June 1st of 2012, I received in my email inbox an email from Stikeman Elliott Barristers and Solicitors defamation lawyer, Maitre Marc-Andre Coulombe, who had been hired by the Unitarian Universalist Association to falsely accuse me of violating Canada's blasphemy law, or perhaps I should say Canada's anti-blasphemy law, for allegedly making unfounded and vicious allegations to the affected ministers of the association engaged in such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape. Those are his exact words. So essentially what Maitre Marc-Andre Coulombe was saying on behalf of the Unitarian Universalist Association was that my blog post about Richard Buell and Reverend Mac Wallace Mitchell were unfounded, when in fact they absolutely were not unfounded. And basically, you know, the Unitarian Universalist Association was trying to pretend that these blog posts about Unitarian Universalist pedophiles and rapists constituted blasphemy against the Unitarian Universalist religious community, which is quite frankly insane. Oh boy, a lot of wind. Oh shit, that's great. Okay, well, I'm not really supposed to step on church property, but I think I'm going to retrieve that. But yeah, I'm probably going to have to put away my freestanding picket signs because of the wind. Talk slogans will have to do. But yeah, as I said, strictly speaking, I'm not supposed to step on church property because I've been banned from the church. But you know, if one of my picket signs blows onto the property, I think I have a right to go and retrieve it briefly. So yeah, we'll put aside the freestanding picket signs because they are getting blown around too much, and we'll just have a couple of picket signs in each hand. But since it is indeed a month dedicated to awareness of sexual abuse of children, I think I will hold the picket signs that talk about the misuse of blasphemy law to hide pedophilia and rape rather than the unsafe sect one. So at least that issue will get the most visibility. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. So we'll put the unsafe sect picket sign backed by bunch of the other ones, so hopefully that won't blow over because it's heavier. And people can see the unsafe sex pickets. And I'm gonna march back and forth with the picket signs that say Unitarian Universalist misuse blasphemy law to cover up and deny pedophilia and rape. And of course this is in total alignment with the chalk slogans I put down here. So Unitarians cover up and deny sexual abuse of children. So that's the theme today. Primarily because, as I said, this month is a month dedicated to raising awareness to abuse of children, which obviously would include sexual abuse of children. So that's today's theme of today's protest. I wasn't here last Sunday, the 8th of April. I actually had something else to do. I was here on the 1st of April, April Fool's Day, and also Easter Sunday. And I'm reimagining April Fool's Day as Unitarian Universalist Fool's Day. There's a whole lot of Unitarian Universalist fools who do incredibly foolish things. So starting this year and proceeding into the future, at least from my perspective, April Fool's Day will also be Unitarian Universalist Fool's Day, and I'll be exposing stunningly foolish behavior on the part of Unitarian Universalists, such as falsely accusing me of blasphemous libel for blogging about Unitarian Universalist pedophiles and rapists. That's incredibly foolish. There's other words to describe it as incredibly unethical, it's incredibly immoral, it's incredibly untruthful, it's basically brazen, bald-faced lie, it's legal bullying. Very foolish legal bullying, I will say. Very foolish misuse of Canada's anti-blasphemy law. In fact, it's even more foolish than some people might know, because what many people may not be aware of is that the Unitarian religion and the Universalist religion, even before merging together in 1961 into Unitarian Universalism, both of these Christian sects, effectively, somewhat heretical Christian sects, they were persecuted by, mainstream Trinitarian Christianity. Some were even jailed, and some were even burned at the stake or otherwise executed. And so Unitarians and Universalists independently opposed blasphemy laws because they were victims of blasphemy laws. So they were against blasphemy laws because they were the ones being thrown into jail, and they were the ones being burned at the stake and executed and so on. And so they developed this tradition of opposing blasphemy laws. And of course, when the Unitarian Universalists merged into the Unitarian Universalist Association in 1961, this tradition continued, and they were very, very proud of it. So they were very proud, heretics who proudly opposed blasphemy laws. Well, that tradition ended on Friday, June 1st of 2012, when the Reverend Dr. Peter Morales' administration of the Unitarian Universalist Association hired Stikeman Elliott barristers and solicitors defamation lawyer, Maitre Marc-Andre Coulombe, to falsely accuse me of violating Canada's blasphemy law. That put an end to that centuries-old tradition of Unitarian Universalism, and I think we could say that that was a stunningly foolish thing for that Unitarian Universalist fool known as Reverend Dr. Peter Morales to do. So yeah, there's just one glaring example of Unitarian Universalist foolishness, which directly relates to Unitarian Universalist cover-up of sexual abuse of children. The misuse of Canada's blasphemy law was intended to intimidate me into removing blog posts about Reverend Mac Wallace Mitchell and Richard Buell, and also to dissuade me from making any new posts about any other Unitarian Universalist pedophiles and rapists, and I can assure you there are others. There are others who have been charged, tried, convicted, and sentenced to jail terms that I haven't even blogged about yet. But of course, for everyone that's charged, tried, and convicted of a crime, you can be sure there's others who never even had a criminal complaint brought against them. So anyhow, yellow, yeah, that's a good color. I think it symbolizes cowardice, if I remember correctly. That's why my chalk is yellow this morning, symbolizing your cowardice. So this guy, the guy with the yellow jacket, elbowed me, I'd say about a month ago, you know, to express his displeasure at my protest. So yeah, since he's wearing a yellow coat, good day, sir.
How are you?
I'm fine. I'm basking in the glory of being accused of blasphemy by Unitarians who are trying to hide child sex abuse.
It's kind of like every church, though, isn't it?
More
the Catholic Church, right?
Put it this way, sexual abuse of children happens all over the place.
Right.
And obviously I'd say, you know, there's hardly an institution that exists that probably doesn't have a few pedophiles and rapists in its midst. But
I know, but I don't think that any organization promotes or favors or does anything to I guess, in my experience, it would be more like the Catholic Church has done enormous things to cover such things up.
Well,
I don't think any other organization, I mean, yeah, you're right. It exists pretty much.
Okay, well, you're okay. I hadn't quite finished. So they all have pedophiles and rapists. Oh yeah, I'm crazy. Yeah, you know what the real crazy people are? The ones that misuse blasphemy law to hide pedophilia and rape. So
if you'd like to know anything more about
if you want to hear the bullshit that they'll feed you, you'll get your chance.
I can also give you information.
Yeah, it'll be total.
Been doing this for 20 years.
Yeah.
Something new up every few years.
Oh, this is making up something? Oh, that's hilarious. See, they're in total denial. But what it comes down to, as far as the cover-up goes, they definitely have tried to cover up pedophilia and rape. And you're talking to someone who, on Friday, June 1st of 2012, was served with a cease and desist demand letter. This cease and desist demand letter said, "Your unfounded and vicious allegations to the effect that ministers of the association engage in such..."
So you were a member of the church?
A long time ago, but no, since being kicked out of the church, I've been protesting these and other issues. So anyway, what happened is the big head office down in Boston, the head office of Unitarian Universalism in North America, hired Stikeman Elliott, barristers and solicitors, to accuse me of violating Canada's blasphemy law to try and get me to take down blog posts about pedophiles and rapists in the church. That's cover-up. And they cover up in various other ways. And of course, he will tell you that I'm imagining things. So.
Look, I think I'm an intelligent person.
Yeah, but listen, you're hearing my side story, and you can do it's all on the internet. You can, he's going to feed you a line of bullshit. I'm just telling you right now, you're going to get a line of bullshit.
Make up my own mind.
Exactly. That's called a free and responsible search for truth and meaning, which Unitarians are supposed to do. Unfortunately, he's not doing it. But you are, sir. You are. I appreciate your getting both sides of the story. So this guy, you know, he's basically asking questions. And of course, there's David Roller, the husband of the minister, trying to pretend that I'm making things up. He literally said he makes something up new, you know, which is ridiculous. I'm not making anything up. I'm not making it up that there are pedophiles and rapists in the Unitarian Universalist church, some of whom have been actually charged, tried, and convicted of pedophilia and rape. I'm not making up the fact that the Unitarian Universalist Association hired Maitre Marc-Andre Coulombe of Stikeman Elliott barristers and solicitors to falsely accuse me of violating Canada's blasphemy law and illegal bullying intended to hide pedophilia and rape. These are documented facts. This is reality. This is Unitarian Universalist history. No fake news involved. The people who are making things up. Well, yeah, speaking of making things up, basically, the lawyer in question that I just spoke about, Maitre Marc-Andre Coulombe, made up a bullshit story that A, my blog posts about Unitarian Universalist pedophiles and rapists are unfounded and vicious, when they most certainly are not unfounded, not particularly vicious either, quite frankly. And then he made it up that these blog posts, you know, violated Canada's blasphemy law, you know, and that I could be prosecuted for blasphemous libel if I didn't take them down. Well, guess what? I didn't remove so much as a comma, didn't remove so much as a period from any of those blog posts. They're totally intact. They've never been modified in any way, and here I am, still waiting to be charged with blasphemous libel, and they better hurry up, because the law is on its way to being repealed. But of course they won't charge me, because they know they would lose. They know that I would be acquitted because I'm telling the truth. There's nothing remotely untruthful about what I'm saying about Reverend Mac Wallace Mitchell or Richard Buell, or for that matter, Stephen Craig Bullite, or indeed some other Unitarian Universalist pedophiles or rapists who I cannot name right now because I don't know their names. I know they exist. I know which state they're from. I know which church they were ministers of, but their names have been kept hidden. I mean, I could do further detective work and figure it out, but you know, I got other things to do with my life than be a unpaid private detective covering up all of Unitarian Universalism's clergy sex abuse. I mean, there's literally hundreds of congregations that have been affected by clergy sexual abuse of one kind or another. Basically, it would be a full-time job to cover up, to uncover all of the cover-up. But yeah, literally 400 congregations, minimum, absolute minimum, and more like 2/3. In fact, I would say probably, if you broaden out, you know, sexual misconduct, you know, to the least serious forms of it, I would say that, you know, all or the vast majority of Unitarian Universalist churches have you know, been affected by, you know, at least low-level sexual harassment, you know, between 1961 and now. But no, we're talking, you know, mainly about the more serious stuff. You know, the most serious stuff is, of course, pedophilia and rape and other, you know, serious sexual assault, sexual abuse. But then, you know, you have the ministers who are having affairs, multiple affairs with congregants and so on and so forth. But today's theme is the sexual abuse of children, because it is indeed Child Abuse Awareness Month, April. So yeah, we're going to stick to that theme, trying not to move away from it too much today. But yeah, that gentleman that I spoke with, you know, he saw my chalk slogan, he saw my picket signs, and he stopped to have a chat.